the political deputy of the Iranian regime's the deputy at the Supreme Leader's office at the UAE. Yet he's still in Canada.
Now we know their plan. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we know how Mark Carney is going to get himself a majority government, sadly. We got a House of Commons session here where the Conservatives are hammering the Liberals on the fact that IRGC officials are living in Canada. They're not being deported. Canadians are starving thanks to Liberal policies. Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off, we got some ugly polling data here. This is coming from Liaison Strategies, showing 44% for the Liberals, 30% for the Conservatives. I see comments of people saying the polling data isn't real. I think Canadians are just so easily duped. They think just leaning into Mark Carney will work because Donald Trump is so scary. It's extreme TDS. It's the media helping him. This needs to be turned around because Carney is running the Brookfield Party of Canada, as you know, watching my channel here. And we really need Conservative MPs to start taking all this stuff and putting it out in the House of Commons. If I don't hear mention of Mark Carney's dealings with these guys from India in the House of Commons this week, I'm going to be disappointed. And I'm talking about all these deals here, starting with CleanMax, all these Tata deals here. We've got Reliance GIO. We're talking these two guys here, Natarajan Chandrasekaran. Mark Carney did these deals with this guy when he was at Brookfield. And we're talking about Mukesh Ambani's Reliance GIO. All of these, some of them, it doesn't matter. Something from this has to be mentioned in the House of Commons. And I'll put my money where my mouth is here. I will update the Moose chart today before this video goes out. So there's no excuse for this information not being out there. As we see, the last time I updated this was on January 19th. We've got this one here. It's a graph of Canadians' views of the United States over time. And what do we see? So this is going back to 2002 on the far side. And as we go over time, Donald Trump gets reelected right here, goes from 48%. Now we're at 74%. I mean, this is no surprise. All the talk of tariffs, people losing jobs. The problem is, how does the Conservatives fight against this? I mean, Pierre's got to come up with a stronger stance on this. You think he's got to talk about this issue more? He's also got to pin Mark Carney to America. I've been saying this for a long time. Carney's 91% invested in America. Just pin him to the enemy. And I say the enemy in terms of the TDS. Obviously, I don't think America is the enemy, but that's what has to be done to flip people's minds. If they see Carney as an American or in America's best interest, this number will change. And we've got Mark Nixon posting this Liaison Strategy Government Approval Tracker. This is back in December down here at 55%. Now we're up to 64%. I don't know what Canadians are thinking here. And as he points out, what's gotten better in Canada? Food affordability, housing crime, taxes, deficits, nothing. The TDS is so rampant in our country, it's going to destroy our country. Moving ahead, we've got this. New sources confirm Liberal government expected to nominate FinTrack Deputy Director Annette Ryan as the next parliamentary budget officer, rejecting Jason Jacques, obviously because he was critical of Mark Carney's government. So I will be digging into her over time. Jumping over to the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies that they are imposing that make life more expensive, like the Liberal fuel standard. This is effectively another kind of carbon tax, which adds 7 cents a litre and will rise to 17 cents a litre, meaning more costs for drivers, farmers, fishermen, and those who transport us our food. The Liberal Prime Minister is also hiking the industrial carbon tax on steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment. These costs are imposed at home, not abroad, and paid for by Canadians. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and cancel their policies that make life more expensive for Canadians?
Mr. Speaker, Canada is an energy superpower, and last year...
Okay, so before he gets into all this, so just looking at their bench, you can see here, they've put this lady up here, her name's Augusta, I think. This is the Terrebonne candidate. And you can see Mark Carney didn't show up for work today. So why are they putting her up there? Well, the Liberals are going to spend all their money on the Terrebonne candidate because they need her to win a majority. There's 3 by-elections. The Liberals are going to win 2 of them easily, but that Terrebonne riding is the one up for grabs and will decide Carney's majority government or not. Jumping over to the Toronto Sun, we've got Brian Lilly with this article here that breaks it all down. Why 3 by-elections could hand Liberal majority government. So what Mark Carney's doing here is he's putting all the by-elections at the exact same time because it allows the Liberals to use the spending for all 3 by-elections, which get individual spending budgets, all on Terrebonne. Those other 2 ridings are a Liberal lock. They don't need to campaign there. As it says here, each candidate in the by-election gets a spending cap. In the by-election last summer in Battle River Crowfoot, the candidate limit was $163,000. Each party represented by a candidate in that by-election could also spend $110,000. The money the this party spends, though, doesn't need to be spent in each designated riding being contested. It's considered a national campaign spending limit, with the Liberals running candidates in 3 ridings and the Bloc only running 1. The Liberals have the advantage. They get triple the spending here, thus triple the campaign ads. So it says here the Liberals will likely spend $330,000 on these by-elections and concentrate almost all of it in Terrebonne to win that riding, where the Bloc will be limited just to $110,000. This is how Carney's going to get his majority government, and thus we aren't going to an election because they're just going to do it this way. It'll be a shaky majority, but I don't think Carney really needs a solid majority to unroll his net zero agenda. He just needs a few bills to go through, and then he can just push all this stuff through, have Brookfield just completely pillage our resources, and with what they've been trying to push through, not having any accountability to that, we wouldn't even know that they're pillaging our resources. And Mark Carney gets rich in the process. That's the roadmap we're seeing right now. On Charest-Heath's website here, we've got Terrebonne at 43% and the Liberals at 34%. But I mean, a lot of campaign spending can change this. He projects this 89% chance that the BQ win this one. Looking at 338, they have the Bloc at 39 and the Liberals at 38. So it's hard to know what's going to happen here. But if it is this close and the Liberals spend triple the amount of money, it's likely they can win this election. The question is this accurate or is this accurate? And speaking of Mark Carney not showing up for work, they even announced it on CBC here.
The Prime Minister's office says Mark Carney will not be in question period, taking any accountability questions today. Also not expected to be in the House for this debate tonight, but certainly opposition MPs as well as some on the government side really want a chance to talk more about this.
So they're going to have a debate on the government stance in Iran. Mark Carney flip-flops on this 4 times and then doesn't show up for the debate. Doesn't show up to the House of Commons. This is pitiful. Mark Carney is such a weak man. And instead they put Tim Hodgson here to run cover for him.
Mr. Speaker, Canada's an energy superpower, and last year Canadian oil production reached a record high. No one can predict the future of energy markets, but our allies are looking for stable, reliable energy supplies in an increasingly uncertain world. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Taylor to Gordondale pipeline. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Sunrise expansion. That's why the TMX optimization is moving forward. Mr. Speaker, we are helping solve the world's affordability problem.
No, they're not. They're not fast-tracking anything. Before we move on here, we need to break down what he just said. He mentioned Sunrise and Taylor to Gordondale.
The Taylor to Gordondale pipeline. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Sunrise expansion.
So the Sunrise expansion is sitting on his desk right now. It's been recommended that they approve it. All he has to do is approve it. Just so we can see what we're talking about here, this is West Coast Energy Inc. Sunrise expansion program. Basically, they're adding these, you can see these purple bits here, new pipeline expansions. This project here, I believe Enbridge is doing this, will increase capacity of liquefied natural gas by 300 million cubic feet per day. 300 million. Now, if we compare this to PGRT, which is the pipeline that will be feeding KSI Lissam's LNG off the coast of BC for liquefied natural gas there, they're going to be doing 2 billion cubic feet per day with capacity up to 3.6 billion per day, as opposed to this project here, 300 million. Now, should we be doing this? Yes. But is this something to say we can supply the world's energy with? No, not even close. This is pathetic. And what's even more pathetic is the Gordondale example he named here. Connecting Taylor to Gordondale, this is a cross-border transfer of energy into different storage tanks. You can see in the top corner here, this is the border between British Columbia and Alberta. It's just a storage tank supply line here. It's 89 kilometers long. This isn't saving Canada. This isn't saving nothing. And sure, we need to be doing these projects, but bragging about this as if it's some sort of big win to save Canada is a complete joke. They just brought this up because he needed to say something, and most people are not going to go fact check what Taylor to Gordondale pipeline is or Sunrise expansion. It just sounds good like they're doing something. In reality, they don't want to do the big projects because they have to get the Pathways project going, or they can't capitalize on the net zero agenda while they build out the pipelines. These guys are doing this for themselves. They are intentionally hurting our country so they can make money. I don't know how they sleep at night. It's disgusting.
That's why the TMX optimization is moving forward. Mr. Speaker, we are helping.
Member for Regina Capel.
Well, let's look at the facts. Among the G7, under this Liberal Prime Minister, Canada now has the worst food price inflation and the only economy that's shrinking. All of this has gotten worse since he became prime minister. Instead of helping lower prices by canceling Liberal taxes, he's driving them even higher. When companies who process, transport, store, or sell food pay more, who does he think all those costs get passed on to? We cannot control what happens in other countries, but we can absolutely control whether or not to drive prices higher with tax increases. Why not at least give Canadians a break from Liberal taxes and cancel the fuel standard tax and the industrial carbon tax?
I'm worried what's going to happen here is because the price of oil is skyrocketing. The food prices are going to go up. One of two things will happen. People will blame Carney, which is what I'm hoping happens. Carney's not responsible for the oil price spiking with the Iran war, but he's responsible for food prices spiking over the past year with all these Liberal taxes. But I'm worried that the media will just twist this and lie to Canadians and say all of the food increases was all the Iran war, even before it happened. Like, they're just going to twist this and use this against the Conservatives to help the Liberals destroy our country. Meanwhile, you've got a couple of these people in high up positions in media companies, inner circles. They're all going to make a pile of cash from this.
Mr. Speaker, it's Monday. It seems that my colleague was missing in action. Mr. Speaker, in fact, we're taking
Colleague missing in action. So he's pointing out Pierre's not there. Well, where's Mark Carney? You can't point out the Prime Minister who just went on this world tour, can't show up for work?
back control. The first thing we did was to cut tax for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That is the very first thing we did. And just
That pathetic tax cut hurt a lot of the low income earners because of the way they structured it. And that tax cut was nothing. It was like $40 a month.
Just to correct the record, Mr. Speaker, Canada is projected to have the second fastest growth in the G7, Mr. Speaker. And this morning, Mr. Speaker, we had the G7 finance minister call. We're coordinating our action. We're going to take action together to make sure that we can bring energy to the world, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
They're not doing that. I can't believe he just stands up here and lies every single day. Now, I'm not sure why Pierre Poilievre is not in the House, but he did have this press conference here where a reporter tried a little gotcha question. They're trying to force him on the situation with Iran, and he just threw it back in their face. I don't think they were expecting this.
Support, you said explicitly it's in our interest that the regime is replaced. Will you say explicitly whether you support what the U.S. and Israel have been doing and whether you believe that any of it is in accordance with international law?
Well, we already said that. We support the action to overturn the regime because this is a regime that has killed Canadians. They killed over 100 Canadians. They have 700 agents on Canadian streets terrorizing our Persian and Jewish communities, carrying out terrorist attacks against our people. This is the biggest state sponsor of terror in the world. That is why we have not equivocated. We also need to focus on what we control at home, which is here at home, to secure our borders against these terrorists, to bring down energy costs and food prices for our people. And that's what we as Conservatives are going to do here at home.
You said explicitly.
So Pierre's not having that. This is a great stance. No wishy-washy, very clear where he stands. What's becoming very clear is Pierre Poilievre is going to be getting all of the Iranian vote in Canada. I think Mark Carney was trying to be flip-floppy and not lose that support. I think it's clear the people of Iran are not going to support Mark Carney because more than likely these people are going to be watching all the news and see how much he's flip-flopped on the issue. Finally, a Canadian politician willing to say what needs to be said without being scared of TDS or elbows up crowd want to impose on free-thinking Canadians.
Meanwhile, here at home, Canadian families, seniors, and businesses are still dealing with ideologically flawed economic policies, regulation, and legislation that has seen the cost of everything, including food prices in Canada, rise 7.3% in January alone. Taxes imposed on our farmers, fishers, and those who transport our food, as well as the industrial carbon tax, which this Liberal Prime Minister keeps in place, have raised prices on everything made with steel, aluminum, and plastic. Why can't the Liberal Prime Minister do the right thing and remove these failed policies that have caused unnecessary hardship and make life more expensive for our people and our businesses?
Well, Mr. Speaker, when my colleague talks about ideological programs, I surely hope he's not talking about the National Child Care Plan, which has actually reduced costs for Ontario families by $16,000 per child per year here in Ontario.
So they're going to dramatically increase the cost of living and then offer a program for select people to bring it down a little bit. Get real.
Mr. Speaker, I sure hope he's not talking about a school nutrition program, which families, experts, educators have all sung the praises of for ensuring.
That's ridiculous. And a lot of people don't want to have their kids involved in that program because they want to feed their kids themselves. They want to choose what they eat. With all the options today, there's too many toxic ingredients in food. It shouldn't be schools feeding kids. parents should be able to afford to feed their own kids. And once again, if the Liberals stopped spending so much money, inflation wouldn't be through the roof. We wouldn't be devaluing our dollar and the value of our money. When I moved into this town I live in, used to be able to buy a burrito for $7, and now they're $20 for a burrito.
Kids get good food. I sure hope he's not talking about the dental care plan, which is helping low-income Canadians get their teeth fixed. I don't know what he means when he...
Yeah, we're going bankrupt as a country. We can't afford the dental care program, not to mention most Canadians don't get access to it.
says ideological.
The Honourable
It's just outrageous. These people can sit here making $300,000 a year while they're intentionally voting on stuff pushing Canadians into poverty. Moving ahead here, we have the new normal in Canada where 50% of Canadians are using credit to pay for food, and 60% of Canadians surveyed said that they're skipping meals.
It's a troubling new survey on how the rising cost of groceries is impacting Canadians. Many say they're eating less healthy food and increasingly buying on credit just to keep up. CTV's Kimberly Fowler reports.
We're gonna make some lasagna. Gail Barrett is finishing up a grocery run for the day at this local Walmart. Onions for aromatics. This is her last stop after shopping at Costco earlier in the day, getting food for her family. Proper nutrition is important, but we're cutting back in other areas, right? To make sure that we can afford the groceries. I just kind of go to the spots that I know generally have good prices and buy what I can buy. With rising grocery prices, some Canadians are consciously making hard choices to save money. If it's not on sale, we're not buying it.
Like Fresco and like Walmart are like the places to go, I find. And like if you go to Farm Boy or like anywhere else, it's just like insane.
A new survey from debt relief firm Spergel finds in the past 6 months, just over 60% of respondents say they skip meals or reduce their portions. More than half say they use credit cards, loans, or lines of credit to pay for groceries.
This is just crazy. And I don't know some of those grocery stores she's mentioning, Farm Boy or whatever, but it's the same thing across Canada. We've got Save On Foods here over on the West Coast, Vancouver Island, and Save On Foods is outrageously expensive. It was always the most expensive grocery store in my town here, and there's probably 6 or 7 of them. Not only that, who's running for the leadership of the BC Conservative Party? It's the CEO of Save On Foods, not getting my vote. Former Pattison executive Daryl Jones jumps into Conservative leadership race. I don't think so, Daryl. Try lowering the prices at Save On Foods first. It's pretty apparent that some of the grocery stores are ripping off the citizens because they can, whether they have a monopoly on the location or whatever it may be.
And about 40% say they delayed paying a bill to buy groceries. The survey also finds many are purchasing less meats or proteins and cutting back on fruits and vegetables.
The price of a container of strawberries is like $14 now compared to what it used to be. Even buying baby food, baby formula, I mean, it's tripled the price over the past few years.
Experts say the affordability crisis is leading to more Canadians going into debt and relying on credit to make everyday purchases.
I can't afford to pay the credit cards because the credit card interest rates are so high. We see a lot of times we go over the budget with them. It's sad to see that their food budget is limited, and we know they're not living on that.
Toman says, look at your budget, and if you're struggling financially, don't be afraid to ask for help.
I always suggest they reach out to their community, if their churches, the community resources, the food bank, if they can. Also buy in bulk, watch for the sales, clip your coupons because that does help. I know it's a lot of work, but it's doable.
There's someone else you can email. The guy who helped create the problem, who's making the problem worse right now, Mark Carney. You can email him right here. Go to contact mark.carney@parle.gc.ca. Send him an email. Tell him you don't like how high grocery prices are, and maybe he should cut the industrial carbon tax, food packaging taxes. He should stop spending so much money. And we've got this one here, Mark Carney's outspending Justin Trudeau, coming from the Niagara Independent. Prime Minister Mark Carney's outspending former Prime Minister Trudeau, Canada's last fiscal year. The estimates for the upcoming 2026-27 fiscal year are the 2 largest federal government spending years in the country's history. When they increase the money supply, we all get poorer. They're stealing money basically straight out of our bank accounts. You just don't see it happening. That's why food is so expensive. And it says, aside from the world event year and the countless CERB checks mailed to lockdown Canadians. So think about this. Global banker Carney's outspending Trudeau, who was admittedly bad at math and did not think of Canada's fiscal and monetary policy. That's the problem. Mark Carney knows exactly what he's doing. He's not a dumb surfer, snowboard instructor like Trudeau. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's making all his bankers buddies rich, his Brookfield buddies rich, and himself rich. What about the people that already went bankrupt and can't get any loans because of their credit, working 2 jobs, hungry. The dream of living in Canada has turned into a nightmare for lots of immigrants coming here with high expectations based on an illusion. Yep, it's fine. Everything is fine. Everything's burning down. So jumping ahead in this session, listen to this.
Here's a problem. Mehdi Naziri, he was a propaganda distributor, the political deputy of the Iranian regime's Friday Imams Policy-Making Council, and a deputy at the Supreme Leader's office at the UAE. Yet he's still in Canada. Doesn't seem like the CBSA or the minister is doing a very good job. Why have they only deported one of these thugs?
Good question. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. Members of the IRGC are ineligible, inadmissible to be in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The CBSA
Except they are
taking.
So I lost the sound on the mic, and
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. Members of the IRGC are inadmissible to be in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The Canada Border Service Agency is removing those individuals who are deemed to be inadmissible, who are members of the IRGC. There's also processes that are being undertaken to ensure the expeditious removal of those individuals. But let me also say the IRCC is taking proactive steps to ensure that those who are ineligible to be here, including 240 individuals who've been refused visas for their alleged involvement with the IRGC.
Gary Anasandri is a complete disaster. It's just like watching a bus go off a cliff.
Conflicts have always existed overseas, but under this Liberal government, we are now seeing those conflicts spill onto our streets here at home. Last week alone, 3 synagogues in the GTA were targeted with gunfire, and now an Iranian dissident has gone missing, possibly a homicide, while members of the community fear the regime in Tehran may be involved. After years of Liberal open border failures and soft on crime policies, hundreds of IRGC regime agents are believed to be living safely here in Canada. When will this Liberal government finally enforce the law, start deporting Iranian regime officials, and protect Canadians here at home?
Here, here. Mr. Speaker, let me just at the outset say if the individual, if my colleague opposite feels that we need to ensure the protection of Canadians, he will support the passage of Bill C-9. The Conservative Party will pass C-9 today, Mr. Speaker. That is how you protect Canadians. That is how you protect communities. That is how you ensure the safety and security of Canadians.
Oh, I didn't have that on my bingo card. Angry Gary Anasandri. Never seen that. Meanwhile,
we also confirmed today that many of these people that are awaiting deportation are being released back into the community.
That's right. They're not deporting people. They're just releasing them back into our community.